Audio is on. Let me check real quick just to hear.
Oh, so it wasn't even on this whole time.
Audio
Gotcha,
is
gotcha.
on. Yeah, we're good. All right, cool. So, bro, what's going on, dude? What's going on?
I mean, it's a Thursday evening, man. It's 9 p.m. Eastern here, and not a lot. Not a lot. It's Thursday, Friday tomorrow. I'm feeling good, feeling great, like usual. Um, Other than that, no, we're just getting through the work week. How about yourself?
Likewise. Second week of the new job, very
Ooh, yeah.
confusing. I'm trying to know what I'm doing, but I actually have no idea what I'm doing. So,
See, I feel like that too because I'm 3 months. Oh, she's a four. I'm 4 months into my new job. Wow, I'm 4 months into my new job, and no, it's three because we moved first. So I'm 3 months in, and I know what I'm doing, but like, there's been no there's just no workload. It's like weird. I don't know. It's cool because I mean I'm at home, so I don't really mind it.
yeah, I think you might be able to relate to this actually when it comes to like starting a new job that's semi similar to your previous job, and people have the expectation of seeing like your resume and your
Ooh.
previous experience and stuff. You come in with that expectation of them like they're supposed to know what they're doing or something like that. That's what
Oh
everybody
yeah, for
thinks of
sure.
me at least. So
Oh
they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, he's been working at the company for 3 years now. He should know everything." They're just throwing things at me, and
Yeah,
yeah,
literally sounds like Service Smash when they I say I don't want to be a platoon leader, and then they
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 just
give me
threw you
some.
in.
Well, no, they give me somebody else. You know, that's been
Oh,
playing the
oh,
game for
okay.
5 years, and it's like, oh, God, you know, and I'm a little too hardcore with it. And those are older times
Understandable.
now. Since it's now what is it, Community Smash? It's not even Server Smash because the interest is down. I think.
Yeah, I have no idea. I haven't actually looked into like what it is now. I think
It's
it's
Community Smash.
obviously less popular because I remember back in our heyday, in
Oh
the
yeah.
prime, that it was a lot of what's the
Playing
word?
from Samsung Smart Fridge.
Alexa, set volume to 0.
Yeah, you got that big boy fridge. Okay, dog. Damn.
What was it? What was I saying? Oh yeah, so like I remember it was like the pinnacle. It was the thing that you would do. Like you, if your outfit wasn't in the Service Smash roster, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, sir. I mean, honestly, in some regards, I miss it, man.
Agreed.
I don't miss the organization, even though I didn't really help out with it outside of providing outfit leadership or platoon structure or whatever you want to call it. Inside of that, I didn't actually organize the event, but I don't miss some of the pulling of the strings to get restrictions in to make I think Silver Smash more fun. But I do actually miss the event as a whole. And right now we got Outfit Wars replacing it, and that's I don't know. I haven't really. I haven't partaken in it, so to speak. I just have no interest because of how to get there to the actual outfit war. You have to do the live part of it, and that part just seems gimmicky, cheesy, not fun, boring,
True.
forced. So
I mean, you never quit. So like you stuck around after I quit back in like 2015, or was it? It was either like late 2015 or early 2016. But what? How did that? Like, how did it end up not being popular anymore? Because like when I was still around, that was why we played live. We played live to get better at the game so that we would beat the other servers. Now we
uh,
kind of do that differently, but
one, and this even goes to all the other organized events, man. Is no, there's no money attached to any of it, right? So you have random people signing up for it. You have young people even managing things, and there's no money tied to it. And there's a lot of negative feedback, and a lot of people just memeing, or a lot of people just giving you shit for things they don't like. And then I hate to say it, but I feel like a lot of people didn't have a spine, or try to cater to all the outfits and everyone. And so instead of making the Silver Smash more fun and more realistic and more um, draw more people, and they did the thing where, like, okay, we're gonna ban infantry maxes, but we're gonna allow pounders, which are just as good at that point as an infantry max. And then what do you see? You see pounder maxes, TR on the point, and it's those things that kind of just ruin the flow of Silver Smash. And then the organization, people didn't want to do it the next time, so then you have another group come in to do it that's brand new, and so they have their idea, and then like it never really grew into something better. In some regards it did, but in other regards it didn't. And I mean, it's just, I mean, think about that: 2, 3, 400 people trying to organize that.
Yeah, and I think you touched upon something that's actually really important about it. There's not really anything to incentivize it, whether it be backed by the devs or it's something that's like privately backed, where it's like, I don't know, PSB or something is the thing
Yeah.
that's giving out money rewards.
I mean, think about the devs, dude. They don't even. I mean, you know, a lot of them like Drew didn't back in the day before he left. You know, he didn't really even stream the game that much. Like, it's just not worth the negative feedback that you get. There's no what you ban somebody from your Twitch or something like that. That's not a big deal. You know, they can make another account or something. So, and they're being paid to do that job, and they don't even want to necessarily stream it or partake in it. Let alone somebody that's 18, 19, 20, whatever, maybe older, that has no ties to it, and to just get that kind of disrespect from people online, it's like I'm not going to do it again. So they back out.
True, true. Well, we have some people starting to roll in. People are probably confused, like, where is the gameplay? What's going on? So, welcome to the... We don't have a name. We're just going to call it the Aeflic Shoctor podcast for right now until we figure out what the name is. But we're working on this sort of like bi-weekly, monthly, weekly. Just depends on, what's going on in the game, what's going on in our lives, how the schedule ends up working out. But we're doing this podcast thing, trying to figure out the scheduling wise, so stay tuned for that. But just going to talk about the state of the game, state of what was going on with us, what we're doing, how we think the game can get better. Just there's a lot of different things that we can kind of go over when it comes down to PlanetSide as a game, the community, where we think it can go, what we're doing now. So I guess to start off, just do some quick introductions. I'll let you go ahead first. Just kind of, we'll just talk about, we were talking about the heyday and stuff like that, but we'll just throw it back a bit. Tell us about where you started. How did you download PlanetSide, Aeflic? What got you to download PlanetSide? We'll start with that.
I don't want to go down a tangent, but we will, because that's how I do it. But I remember going to like a GameStop or something in the mall when malls are still a thing. I guess they still are. But and my brother was talking. He picked up like PlanetSide. I don't even, was it just Planet? It's probably just PlanetSide at that point. So PlanetSide 1, and we didn't get it or anything. I think we were just like browsing around like you do when you're just a super tiny kid, And I remember him talking about like how cool it was if we could play this game, and like really hyped up and talked about it a lot. And then that was it. And then I always thought about it, the idea of massive, large scale FPS or whatever, whatever. And then PlanetSide 2 came out, and I remember I was in college, and I was like, oh man, I remember that moment in GameStop, and I'm gonna download this. And I went full like tactical, like immersive, like whoa. It was kind of like
Dude,
like,
where are we?
there's so many people, and there's like ships, and there's like tanks, and like I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I remember the trailers, like, and that's what got me really hyped for it. PlanetSide does do decent with their trailers, I will say. And I got it. I remember I dropped in or whatever, and I was on Indar, and I was rolling around, and I was, didn't know what the hell was going on, and I got into a platoon somehow. I don't know if somebody invited me or they auto joined you at that point, and it was WMD, NC New Conglomerate. Malevolent was the outfit lead, and I loved it, man. It was awesome. Like, and the idea that there was like this weird like. As a boy, like you like guns, and not everybody, but you like guns, you like the army and things like that.
Yeah.
So it kind of played into that, as cringy as that may be, and that structure. Like, oh, I have a squad leader, and we're all following him, and he has a platoon leader that 4 other guys are following, and there's another platoon of infantry, and then there's like an air platoon. At the time they had that too, and then there's like a command structure, and like that idea of like just a game of like depth. It was like really cool to me. So. And then obviously once you peel back those things, it's not like that at all. It's not. There's really like nothing there in regards to, no, not nothing, but it's not as cool as you would think. It's a little more human. So, but at first, that's what got me sucked into the game. I joined WMD on NC, and then I got into leadership there.
Okay.
Because I wanted to lead. I remember the first time I got a platoon, dude, and the guy had like logged out, like Malevolent had to leave or something. He's like ex-military, and so that's why he got into the game. And I got platoon lead. I remember I just froze, dude. I didn't say anything. I think I put like a platoon waypoint down at one point, and then at some point, some dude's like, "Oh, all right, like, I don't. Maybe he's not here." Like, I literally like logged out, man. And then I slowly got into squad leadership and then platoon leadership. And then I think I took a big break because of college. I got busy or something. I came back, and the WMD was pretty much dead. And I remember running into CFS Chris from VCO, Voodoo Rangers, Voodoo Shipping Company, and he was just some crazy hooligan in Prox chat, kind of like you when I first met you, actually. I was like, I don't have anywhere else to go, so I hit him up and found out he's the outfit lead for them, and I got into it real quick, man. I co-led with him really quickly, and then it was a massive Zerg fit, both of these outfits, WMD into VCO, and that's what Chris wanted to do. He wanted to grow this, so we grew it quick, man. I think we went through like 10,000 members. We were literally like AOD. I took a lot of pride in it, way too much for a video game, and spent way too much time and had meetings and all that cringy stuff back then. But it was a lot of fun at the same time. It was a good like learning thing too. And I remember I didn't like the way that the outfit was perceived as like this Zerg fit of, we just throw 200 people or something on at a point. And so I kind of went down the slope. To sum it up, went down the slope of elite infantry-ishness that we are now. I was kicking people. I was still heavily recruiting, and we did. I wanted to show that you could be a Zerg fit, but also break things up. You could have 11 squads and send people all over the map and like be effective and be quick redeploy. And that was when galaxies were popular, and just be everywhere at once, but still being effective and like win 50-50 fights as a Zerg fit. Instead of this 80-20 and all that junk that was gross. And we did it, and it was great. And then people started developing like Helix 320, got really, really good at the game. And the people that I was really close to, like in my leadership structure and the players that were really good at the game, we started like drifting away. They wanted to like go down like a path of like, I don't know, getting better at the game and driving people. And then there's this casual side of it. And I was torn, and we eventually just decided to break apart. I remember hitting up Rhino 7 at Bax and said, hey man, I want to join you guys. We had run with him a couple times. He wanted me to bring like 5 guys. I connived to get like, I don't know, we got 60 or 70 or something like that. And then we merged with Bax at that point. Long story short, now I lead Bax with Gellos. We co-lead it to its current day. And in its current day now, the game's just different. And then I'm really curious if that immersive feel is still there for new players,
True.
Because I'm like like 8 years now, whatever it is, 7, 8, 9 years now. I played since beta. I'm on this all the way on this other side, and I just like, does the game still feel like that to a new player? I don't know.
True.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's actually extremely relatable because I had that same sort of mindset when it came to coming into the game, where I was playing a lot of games kind of like Battlefield and stuff like that, where you would have these instances. Oh, I never muted everything. Okay, my bad. I never ended up. I completely lost my train of thought. never really enjoyed the fact that like these instances of big fights weren't like continuous. So a lot of times you'd get like and I think Battlefield marketed it really well. They called them like Battlefield moments and stuff, where like only in Battlefield would this stuff happen. But it was so far and few between because it was one of those situations where you only had like, on the original Xbox 360, you had like 16v16 on like this really big map. And that's, you got to end up like messing around with the map and making it thinner so that you can force these people down funnels and lanes to end up kind of getting those battles. So I was like, okay, how do I want to play something that's like this, but a lot more consistent in the sense of like, I want these battles like all the time. I want high octane, and I want to be able to like get up, go somewhere else, just do a bunch of stuff like that. And a friend of mine was actually playing PlanetSide, and I didn't even have a computer at the time. He was playing PlanetSide, and he was just like, yeah, bro, like, there's this crazy game. There's like thousands of people on each side, like fighting each other, duking it out, 3 factions or 3 teams. And I was like, dang, let me check this out. And I remember I downloaded it on like my garbage like computer I was using for like community college, and this laptop could not run the game. So I'd like go to his house and play PlanetSide 2. This was like it was like early 2014. So I wasn't like a beta or like alpha or like all these people who were like I played back. I played back in like the OG days. Like nah. So so I I literally built a computer just to play PlanetSide. Like that's because I was looking at so many videos and stuff like that where I was just like, like this looks sick, Battles are crazy, high octane, super high consistency. I don't even remember whose videos I watched, honestly. Maybe it was a Rel video, honestly, because this was probably back when he was like,
Hey, shout out to the Gold Anchor, baby.
shout out. So I just like hopped on, watched some YouTube videos. I was like, dang, these guys are redeploying, going to the next fight. Always high battles, high octane. So I started saving up, working at the grocery store. Shout out the W, shout out Big Weg. So I started working at Wegmans and stuff like that just to build a computer. And finally save up, build the computer, log in for the first time. I have no idea what I'm doing, bro. I didn't even have a mic at the time. Like, I just kind of hopped in. I was like, dang, look at the graphics. I haven't set the ultra, had the GTX 980. I was like, dang, this is crazy.
I didn't even know what FPS was, bro.
No, for real.
Didn't even know.
And I came from like Xbox 360, so like 30 FPS was like, dang, bro, look how smooth the game running.
Crispy, baby.
So crispy, bro. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me get a mic, because I joined like a random platoon, and they were like all talking, doing comms, and like this was back when, like, again, different time. Like, we're both talking about it in that sense, different time. Like,
it's cringy now almost.
yeah, like the military comms.
Yeah, it was exciting though. I mean, like I said, for most guys, that's like something that you're like, do I really want to like join the military and go through boot camp and do all these things? Like it kind of appeals to you. Then you're like, do I want to be in it for 4 years and like be overseas somewhere? Like it could be good, it could be bad, but such a commitment that like you're like, I don't know if I actually want to do that. This like is like a weird way of like, it's like airsoft or something. If you get involved in paintball, it's like a good way to like do it and then like leave it behind. Again, I defend my country if I need to, but that's a different topic. So anyway, continue.
Yeah. So, but like, I think that's kind of like who the game kind of attracts to, because like if you think about like outfits like TG and stuff like that, where like the comms are very much like inspired by, I don't even know, branches of the military and stuff like that.
Ex-military people in RX.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I remember BWC was huge into that. There were a lot of outfits that were like really big into that, and that was honestly like one of the outfits that I joined, because I was so enamored from this. Like, you would play like those single player games like Modern Warfare or Battlefield back in the day, and like the comms from like all like the Bravo 2 actual, like all that shit sounds so cool. Gosh, dude, so I was like, but it's like, but let me do that with like other people. And it's like, actually, like, I remember that was like the coolest thing to me. Obviously now, again, completely different time. We play for completely different reasons. But yeah, I ended up kind of going down a similar route. Like, I ended up joining Draugr, and then became like a platoon lead, and then ended up getting promoted till I was second in charge of the outfit. And in its heyday, like, that outfit was massive. It was, I think most viewers, like, if you play on Emerald and you played back in like 2014 or 2015, you knew about like Draugr just being like one of those, almost like maybe like the third biggest Zerg fit on TR on Emerald. So, but yeah, I ended up going down that same route where it's like, you want to do something and you want to improve at it, and you want to see that you're improving at it. So it was one of those stagnant things where we were just inviting literally anyone to the outfit. And I'm just like why are we trying to poach these like BR1s and BR2s and like recruiting at the warp gate, when like we can take the people that we have and then kind of, by the way, your mic's or your camera's a little out of focus right now.
I don't know why I did that.
Oh, there you go. You're good.
Probably because my cans are in there. That's why I'm trying to slouch down so you don't have to see them. You don't want to distract you.
Damn. But yeah, it ended up just kind of like getting myself away from that outfit, mostly because like, yeah, you want to see improvement, and like you want everybody to improve, and you want to have those high octane battles, because kind of like I said before, like I wanted that sense of like those really big fights and like almost like underdog situations where like you didn't think you'd win that fight, but you did. So,
right, and that's like the Zerg fit mentality. You get to a point where you're like, dude, I want to win this without
trying, like even trying, dude.
So like you want to get better. Yeah, no, I mean I completely agree with you. And the other thing about PlanSide, I just from hearing you speak, man, was the draw of like, if I log out, are we gonna lose that biolab? That goon's been holding it for 48 hours. I don't have that feeling anymore, obviously, but that was crazy, man. When I heard they've been holding it for 2 days straight, like just rotating people in and out. It's almost like Eve at that point,
Yeah.
The scale of it and like the persistent maps.
Yeah.
And that was like a crazy feeling of like, we gotta if I log it out, who's gonna take my place? Who's gonna step up and be the platoon leader? And like that was very intense.
Yeah, true. And like that was like the alert meta days too, where like like alert popped, the queue for the alert map was huge. It was hundreds of people because everybody wanted to get involved with that. Like you would have people in platoons just like sitting in VR training or like sitting in the warp gate of like a different continent waiting to just get into the alert continent because like again, they wanted to like winning the alert was like the biggest deal. So
Oh yeah.
and I'm sure like back when they were called SOE, Sony Online Entertainment. Shout out the OG. Shout out Higby. What's up, bro?
Hey, long hair don't care, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were probably making bank on those what's it called, the memberships, because again like everybody was
But
buying
they
membership
said
to
they
get
didn't
through the
break
queue.
even until like 2 years ago or 3. I don't even know now. That's whatever. I don't care.
Membership was the norm, but I think it was also just kind of like where are you allocating your resources, and then like how much should membership have like costed versus how much did it cost. So maybe it was one of those things where it was just kind of like a disconnect between the two. But yeah, kind of moving past the like the Zerg fit days, like yeah, I wanted to improve, and then kind of joined backs right after you guys merged. Well, like when you took like your group of people and then merged with Rhino's group of people. And yeah, like that's when I started to like both have fun but be aware of like how weird some stuff are, like the fact that people are just like, because I remember I was one of those people who would just like be in the warp gate inviting people to squad and outfit and then trying to just like get as many people in the outfit as possible. But after I had like left and seen like the fact that like you can get like a really solid group of people that are all good at their roles, whether it's like killing people, rezzing people, etc. Like just getting a solid group of people, like you can win those 60-40s, those 70-30s, like as long as you have everything held down. But yeah, then I ended up joining Bax. I think that was like late 2014. I think it was like November of 2014. And then yeah, I did quit for a solid like 5 years, and I did leave you behind. But yeah, coming
A lot
back,
happens in 5 years, man.
yeah.
Little kids grow up, you know, go to high school or college. A lot of like it's crazy that you even came back. Honestly, good to see you though.
And I think that's a good segue to what I want to talk about next when it comes to like, so I quit because I was bored. A lot of like the meta that was rewarding to me was gone, and then there was no sense of like improvement, both from like me personally. Like I was just like, oh yeah, like I'm getting better at the game, but then I started to kind of drop off, and there was nothing really to calculate how much better I was getting outside of just like KD. I guess KD was like the big thing back in the day. So I was. What's up?
Nobody. Go ahead if you want.
No, go ahead.
Well, plus I don't think anybody knew how important midfits were at that point either, and they kind of got leached, man. They got bled out slowly by game changes and leadership burnout, and that's what made the community is what makes PlanetSide fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you do, like some people do go through like the stages that we went through, and then you become a solo farmer or whatever, and like that's enjoyable, but then it does kind of peak. And without those midfits, man, getting bled off, the game is just different now. It's very hard to do outfit things. There's just not a lot of competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's like B-Way, and it's like, okay, and who else is out there, dude? No, like you know, like what are you gonna fight AOD? Like, do they even have structure anymore?
Yeah.
And like B-Way versus AOD, that's a joke. So it's like, but anyway, continue on your point. That's just kind of like the current state of affairs, I guess, of outfits, and outfits are what make PlanetSide good and great, and that's what keeps people around. Besides, like that veteran infantry, like kind of small niche community that's around too.
Yeah, and I think that's just reminiscent of an MMO, because again, a lot of people don't see PlanetSide as an MMO, but a lot of the times, like a lot of the things that are in the game or involved in the game are very MMO-esque. Like, because for me, the biggest thing that kind of kept me during the like my prime, I guess, back in like 2014, 2015, was the fact that there were all of these different people that like I knew, and like whether it was playing with them, getting to know them, or being on the opposite side of like, you know, fighting them, and like whether it's winning or losing to them, like that was, it was like almost like a social interaction at the same time of it being a game interaction.
Absolutely.
Like if you would kill someone, and like every time me and you see each other like in the game, even now, like we V6 each other, whoever wins. Like that's just how it is. Like that's so MMO of the game. Like that's just how it works, especially like in a PvP kind of structure. So I think going back to like why I quit, like I just didn't, that wasn't rewarding to me anymore. And I guess to kind of think about it, like when it comes to the game mechanics of like there's all these different things you can do that has like its perks and its cons, where it's like the perk of it is like you can attract people who like playing flight simulators, who like playing like games like War Thunder of like driving tanks and stuff, and then all like your Battlefield, Call of Duty kids who like to play like FPS games. But then when you don't have like a controlled environment for each of them and you throw them all together, like there's so much room for abuse of like, oh, I'm just gonna like park a tank like 3 miles away outside of render distance and just start pelting at a spawn room. So it's like, and I remember there was that one base on Indar, and when I came back it was gone, next to Quartz Ridge, I think, or no, not Quartz Ridge.
There was one by Quartz Ridge that had that the tanks could show the spawn.
Yeah, no, yeah, there was one next to Quartz Ridge where you would just go up the mountain, like I think northwest of the spawn or something like that, and then just start shelling down. So like if you were defending that base, you're like, all right, we lost it, go to Quartz Ridge, like. So it's just stuff like that. So, but yeah, coming back to the game, a lot of stuff. Yeah, Ennis Abandoned Offices, that's what it was called. Yeah, like coming back to the game, things have definitely changed, and I think. And I'm not sure if you can attest this or like when this started happening. Like I don't recall having that much dev interaction when it came to like we get like a monthly dev stream now, which is pretty cool. At least it like we had the one about Bastion, we had the one about the Colossus tank and the Punisher, like telling us about that stuff. So it's like I'm assuming like they started to kind of reinvest into the game and put like more resources into the community and stuff. But like tell me more about like why you ended up staying versus someone like me who just kind of like dipped.
Well, I definitely had my breaks in there, depending on what was going on, and then I think the number one issue, but the number one reason I came back is because there's nothing else like it enough. Like it kind of like ruined games for me, and I know our good boy Lex Steele. Obviously, we're talking about the player in the game from AC. Says people like to say that when they can't play other games, which is true. But I've just been feeling a lack of good other games to play, and so I always go back to PlanetSide. But I still leave and come back and do things like that as time goes on. But that's why I got into streaming. That's why we're doing this now. Mm-hmm. It's just like more community involvement keeps me around because there's only so many goals. Like I mean, I can only do 200,000 kills on an anchor so many times. Now I'm going for 100,000 on the gold anchor. Like those are like long-term goals, which are nice, but there needs to be something else there. Because like when Gallus and the backs guys leave and then are going and doing something else, and it's just me and the stream or a couple other people, like I need something there to keep me going, and the stream helps with that. But I left when you were actually right before you came back. I was in Tarkov for a minute, man, and really enjoying that. But the reason I came back is because of the 6v6 infantry tournament, which I know a lot of people don't like because it's not PlanetSide, it's not massive battles, it's not 3 factions. You can't have a competitive environment. Name a game that you can have 3 factions or 3 teams and it's competitive. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And live isn't like that, so that's fine. But I like the infantry showcase of skill and getting away from, which is competition. I like competition. And with midfits gone and alerts kind of not mean anything, outfit wars being meaningless in some regards, that's what's brought me back is this I like competition, man. And we don't have that on live right now. Yeah, I see Shoctor, but it's like, okay, are you at light assault? Do you see me first? Are you on the roof? I'm on the ground.
Yeah.
Are you in
like, so many variables. No, you're right.
Like, oh, he's better than me. Is he though? Am I better than you? Like you just don't know. So having a structured environment that you can showcase your skill set with some other people is really exciting. And I've participated in several of those, even though we baxed out of the good old, was it Farmers or was it Eurodome 1? I don't remember. Got some hate for that, but that's why I came back.
True. And honestly, that segues us very well into our first topic because honestly, like intros are done. We basically explained, for those of you just tuning in, again, this is the Shoctor Aeflic Shoctor podcast. We don't really have a name yet, but today's topic that we're gonna kind of go over and just kind of talk more about.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, go in, bro.
Just quick shout out to our sponsor, Under Armour. Hey, we've been repping this hat for many years.
Hey, gang, bro. Shout out UA, bro. I mean, dang, this dude really sponsored,
bro. I got the shorties
bro.
on too, dude. I got the shorties on.
Hey, TOS, dude. Ah!
Can you see the logo on the shorts? Oh, bro, I even got him on
bro.
the socks. I didn't even think about that.
Dang
Can you
it.
see him on the socks right there?
Ew, you
Maybe
got a
not. Oh,
hole in the
look.
socks. I can see that, bro.
No, it's a dark shadow. It's just a dark shadow.
Oh, so
Anyway,
yeah. Shadow.
so I mean, I'm sweating.
Yeah,
out,
so
bro. So
exclamation
shout out.
point Under Armour in chat. It'll send you to our link. You'll get 10% off of nothing. But yeah, so we're gonna go into our first topic. We're gonna talk about PIL 6v6, just why we like everything about it, how it honestly gives playing the game purpose. And I guess we'll first off just kind of talk about like describing what it is. So it's essentially think about
PIL? What is PIL? What are you talking about? Dude?
the Planetside Infantry League. You know, if
Oh,
only capital P, capital I, capital L. So yeah, PIL, the Planetside Infantry League. It's a 6v6 infantry competitive form. You put the glasses on, bro. Where are my other glasses?
I'm sitting up straight as hell, bro.
Yo, let me
too, bro.
let me go into intellectual mode. We'll go librarian mode. So yes, the 6v6 PIL tournament is an upcoming tournament that Bax is playing in, along with other teams such as B-Way, B-Hot, Ram, Woha. A lot of different teams are playing in PIL, and the PIL Invitational that is on July 11th, I believe. Casted by fellow community members such as myself, Monkey, Batty, Gelos, a lot of Bax people, and then played in by Aeflic himself. Even though I don't think you're gonna be there. I think you're on the roster, so we'll it's TBD.
Yeah, so let's rewind back real quick. So
yeah, go ahead.
PIL public Planetside Infantry League. Yeah, it's 6v6 competitive infantry focused, obviously. Tournament, competition, whatever you want to call it, that has restrictions and different things, rule set, obviously. That is on a off-site server. I mean, Jaeger it's not live, so we're not playing it on live. We're playing it on, I guess, a test server of sorts. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's a 6-player versus 6-player. What you can have, I think, 12 people on a roster. But yeah, and then we have casters, we have Discord for it, organization for it, et cetera. But that's essentially what it is. It's a competitive event by players. And organized by players with a little bit of dev support. So
no, and so my internet broke on Saturday. Like they were trying to like upgrade something nearby on like my block of internet. And are we taking the glasses off? Yeah, I don't like these glasses.
Sorry.
No, the curvature of it, messes with my eyes sometimes. So
got that glare.
Yeah. So my internet went down.
Stream, just kind of want to fight my camera when I see that.
So my internet went down, and they had to like upgrade it. And I called Verizon. I'm like, yo, like, when's this internet gonna come back on? They were like, we estimate around 10 p.m. And I was like, it's 1 p.m. right now. Like, what am I supposed to do? We quarantine, like, yikes. But a friend of mine hits me up. He's like, yo, let's hang out. And I was talking to him, and he said that he watched my stream. This is a non-Planetside person. This is like a normal friend of mine that lives down the street. He said he watched my stream once, and there was like, I was casting the I think it was Bax versus Ziz. I think it was Bax versus Ziz when you guys were versing them, and which was a good match. It was a good match. We'll go into that in a bit, but it was a good match. And he was like, "Dude, that looks so cool. Like, he's like, you're just kind of like flying around. You got like all this stuff. Like, you look like a CS:GO caster. Like, what's going on?" And I was like, "Yeah. Like, what's super cool is like." None of that stuff is made really by anyone that's a developer of the game outside of the game itself. Like outside of the observer cam and the people playing in the game, everything is basically organized and executed, and most of the things created by the community. And when I was kind of explaining that to him, he was like just like random players like made the script of like showing the scores and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, like I was the one who started the match, who was like watching and then also casting it. And then there were people on like the PIL side doing it. This is when they were doing it on the server side rather than me running the script. So like there were people running the server side of just like starting the half and stuff like that. So he was like, dang, that's cool. And I was like, yeah, because again, like this is all community driven, and it almost brings more meaning or impact into playing the game. Because again, like when we said earlier, we kind of ran out of reasons why we were playing on live server, but now we have a reason to, in the sense of like we're trying to tweak our aims, we're trying to tweak our sensitivities,
we're trying to train,
and we're literally training, dude. So we're out here training like all these different things. I hate it, dude. I can't. Anchors, edit that out, dog. Yeah, shout out Anchors. Thank you, bro. So yeah, just like it gives like reason to play the game, and then it being something that's driven so much by the community gives it even more impact as to why you want to play. So to kind of run it back, like to describe the format a little bit more, when we kind of touched upon it a little bit earlier too, when we were talking about like the cheese as to why like I personally quit, and like a lot of people end up quitting or taking long breaks of like there's so many things that can be abused in the game, and when you play in a controlled environment like 6v6, whether it's PIL or Eurodome or what, I only know about PIL right now because again I came in a little bit late. You kind of get like a very cool environment of not having to deal with like shotguns, max suits, air to ground, tanks. There's a lot of stuff that get banned. Overpop, like again, it's a 50-50 fight, and it's cool in the sense of like it almost feels like an arena shooter that has a lot of variety in the sense of like there are so many different maps we can potentially play on, some better than others. Obviously, like you don't want to do a 6v6 at like J908 impact site or something like that, but having maps that are so like so different in like the way they're designed, and they're all available in the sense of like we can just go there and kind of set up the match, is like super helpful in the sense of just like setting it up, outside of obviously not being able to have multiple people at the same or multiple matches at the same map. But I guess that's one of the disadvantages we can kind of cover later. But it's cool in the sense of like I think of almost like Overwatch, the game, where you would have like a tank, you would have your DPS, and you'd have like a healer. But in PlanetSide, it's more like you have your bolter, you have like your heavy assault, and you have your light assault. So it's almost like, how do I build that roster to make my team the most effective? And you're also like, there's the whole recruitment process of like you're almost like an HR person looking at all these different people's stats and stuff like that to see like who's the best bolter to put on this roster, who are the best heavy assaults to put on this roster, who's the best light assault to put on this roster. So there's a lot of different things that you can kind of like dive deeper into, and I feel like it tickles the fancy of a lot of different people. Of like there's the people who like to manage things, and like coach is like a great example of like he plays, but he spends a lot of time also kind of like managing stuff of like setting up the scrims and getting all the pill accounts set up for us. And then again, there's like
how bad my strategies are.
yeah. And then that's actually a great segue too. Like, and then there's people like you who like to like strategize and figure out like what's our opener gonna be, like how are we gonna respond to like this, that, and this. And then there's people who just like to play. There's people like me who like to cast. So like I guess kind of to like jump in a little bit more, like let's talk a little bit more about like why we like the format, and like again like what other things that you feel like kind of make it different from live play.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna keep me on track here.
I'll keep you on track. Hey, chat, keep him on track.
Again, like this boils down from doing server smash, which I think had a lot of issues. Okay, why are maxes even allowed in it? No one pulls tanks. Why are pounders allowed when they're not fighting tanks? They're fighting infantry and they're effective at it. You know, and then there's more to server smash than that. But there's a lot of frustrations with server smash and the restrictions that weren't there and things that were allowed, let alone organizing that many people. And then you have things like lane smash. Oh man, I remember when they hit me up. Let's do lane smash. Aeflic. Let's do lane smash. It'll be fun. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything. I'll organize it. I'll get the air. I'll get the vehicles. You just play infantry. You lead the infantry. Turns out that was a bad idea, and I have not given lane smash another shot. But anything that stacks more and allows more things without restrictions, I think struggles. I think there was a 12v12 infantry show like league or something like that. The problem is when you have this one point and you put like 12 people or 48 people or 30 people in one triple building, and you have conks, and then you have people resing and resonates. It just becomes it's like a live all of a sudden.
Yeah.
A little bit smaller, and it just becomes a clusterfuck of. It kind of takes away the strategy, and I mean there's still strategy there, but it kind of takes away like the skill. It's like, okay, I killed 7 people. Oh, they're all rezzed up because of the resonate.
Yeah.
And like that, like just stacking pop on top of each other, I don't like that. And I think that's why I love the 66 format. Is it's small, it's not a 1v1 situation, and you know, even when we go like 8v8, 9v9, when we're doing like public pickups like on Saturdays, or we're doing scrims and stuff internally, those even feel like sometimes for the bases are too big. And I think it's fun to break down bases down a little bit smaller and break them into lanes, almost like a MOBA, and kind of giving you different options instead of just let's just throw everyone on the point, let's just conk the point, let's just throw resonates. And like I think 66 adds a little more depth to I hate to say it, but competitive planet side.
Competitive planet side. And yo, honestly, I can echo some of that in the sense of like it also puts people in their place, I'd say, which again is a little aggressive to say, but honestly, like for real, because PlanetSide again, it's like it's one of those games where there isn't necessarily a metric that everybody agrees on, that especially in the past. I guess now it's a little more agreed upon, like your KPM is huge, your KD is huge. Yeah, but then, you know, there's also like accuracy, there's headshot ratio. Like I remember back in the day, like it was all about your weapons KPM. So people would cheese it by just running around with med kits. So like there's never been a consistent measure of like who is good at this game and who is not. But this, it standardizes who is good and who's not. So like
a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah, and there's the fear of like, will I be bad at this? And I'm gonna embarrass I literally embarrassed myself yesterday being the worst player on the backs team versus Ziz. So like, but again, like it's what kind of person are you? Are you the type of person to just be like, I'm gonna be bad at this, I'm not gonna do this, or it's I'm gonna be bad at this, but I'm gonna keep like kind of working to get better at it. But yeah, it's like it's one of those where you have to really kind of dive into like, okay, what are you exactly good at? Are you good at sitting behind a bunch of people and like just kind of kill stealing and having a high KD? Are you good at just sitting in a spawn room like sniping or bolting or something like that? Or are you like an actual good player that can like make really impactful plays? And that was the one thing that I was just like, it's a proving ground essentially. You're there to figure out like, am I good or not? And if I'm not good, why am I not good? And let me get better at it. And it's huge. It's huge when you're like versing really good players, like versing Leroy and Ryan and Wook last night. Like all 6 of them were just amazing players. Like I was getting shit on literally left and right, and I was seeing why I wasn't winning. Like it was just like my accuracy is not as good. Like I'm not aiming as well as them right now. They're way better positioning. They have a lot more experience when it comes to the 6v6 format and stuff like that. So I was just like, all right, like let me jot these down and I'm gonna figure out like how to get better at them. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest reason why like I enjoy 6v6. And like you've been there when I've like raged and been like, bro, like this shit sucks, bro. I ain't playing anymore. Fuck that shit. I ain't gonna do it. But like it's so rewarding when you do well.
Mm-hmm.
Like
oh, absolutely. And just to go a little bit further with it, I'm sure some of the other leagues or tournaments or whatever are like this, but you know, a lot of people think the infantry group of PlanetSide, the elite group, elitists, you know, are terrible people. And I think we play into that a lot on live. You know, when you get a tell from somebody that's ragey and V6 and people talking in yell chat. But the community has really come a long way from Farmers League and really kind of blossomed like and encouraged new teams to come out that are just not good because they've never played. They don't have good players. They have one carry, and like we've really fostered like a growth into you know, people feeling like Aeflic, that guy's I don't know how I feel about that. I don't want to be embarrassed. What if he says something or you know, weird or whatever? But it's like, no, like come on in. But just try it out, and you might like it, you might not, you know. And it's not so closed door anymore. It's a big open feeling, and the community is really, really solid. And I know we there's good banter, and I talk shit, you know, in yell chat like during the matches when, you know, or the scrims where people are taking forever to get the game started. And I'm trying to, you know, take care of Liam or something. I'm like, dude, we got to go. But for the most part, you know, you got to have friendly banter. But the community itself has look at Cross John. Look at Cross John.
Yeah, Cross John's a good example.
Toxic, just terrible person turned into just a great human being.
Dang, yeah. Shout out Cross Jonathan.
I mean, yeah, gang, baby.
Gang, baby. Is there anything else that you feel like you really, really enjoy about the format, or do you want to kind of move over to like what we don't like?
You know, that's gonna be a tough one, but go ahead. Yeah, let's move over.
Things that I don't like. I mean,
I want to hear this from you.
The things that coming into it, I think the things that I don't like, the biggest thing I don't like is like the tilty nature that kind of comes as a result.
That's competition, baby.
But again, no, but this is the thing. I think the only reason why it's exacerbated, honestly, in this format is because, again, you're so used to being the best player because you had this definition of what a good player is that isn't in alignment with what a good player actually is. So like these people would have like really good sessions, right? They would, again, I don't know, they would be sitting in spawn rooms, hiding behind a bunch of
Well,
people.
okay, look, fourth factioning, choosing fights, logging out when there's nothing going on. I mean, you can and still be decent at the game. Don't get me wrong, okay?
Hmm.
Not a lot of people spawn camping that are in 6v6 or in the spawn room like shooting a sniper out, but um, you can really pick your fights well in PlanetSide and do pretty decent at it, and that doesn't necessarily carry over to a competitive nature or teamwork in general. PlanetSide right now is a very solo game for higher tier people. Um, and sometimes people don't work well with other people.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah,
Demonstrates.
again, that's another thing where it's like it's not really, and again, like it's, I guess, isn't really a thing that I don't like. I think it's something that just kind of gets worse with the fact that the game again cultivates this type of player that doesn't think they're bad. like we don't have like, I think a great example would be like a CS:GO, a Valorant, and Overwatch. There are ranks. Like you're silver, you're gold, you're master. Like there are all these different
Yeah, that's
ranks,
true.
right?
BR doesn't matter.
Yeah, so BR is just like I played the game, I bought like some XP boosts, just stuff like that. But
Right.
there isn't like a clear metric again that's, I guess, that's visible in the game at least. Because again, you can look up the guy's stats, see like, oh, he has like a really high accuracy KPM. But I have to like leave the game. I gotta log into like Fizu or DA
And a
stats,
very
whatever.
small group of people do that.
Yeah. So there is no like, there is no, again, whether it's the fact the game is just not competitive into the state of like live play. So
Correct.
people kind of they pick and choose what matters. So when you take them out of that environment where they got to pick and choose, and then you throw them into an environment where now it is enforced that you can only use these weapons, you can't leave these boundaries, you have to do you have to do this, and that in order to win. And then you kind of get put on equal ground with other people. They start to tilt because they're like, why the fuck am I not doing well? I'm always the best player. Like I'm a 20 KD, 1 KPM. I don't know. They're like, I'm a really good player, but all of a sudden I'm not. So I think that's just one of those things that I personally found that I don't like when it comes to communication from people, or the reason why people decide that they don't want to play is because they're kind of just scared to get shit on, or they just get
Hmm.
mad at themselves for not doing well. And I guess that's a good thing for people like us that want to play in the format and don't want that sort of player to kind of come in and then put a bad name on the format. But at the same time, it's not good because a lot of people stay and just kind of they start blaming other people. You just have like a really toxic teammate, especially if you're playing on like a pickups or
That's
something like that.
I mean, I know PlanetSide. That's PlanetSide's. I hate to use the word style because that's not what I want to use, but that's just competition in nature. Whether that's playing, flag football with your friends outside, playing on an actual football team, like in high school or something, or even college, or playing CS:GO. Tilting comes in many shapes and sizes, and that's just PlanetSide's type, I guess, of tilt. But that's nothing that is unique to PlanetSide, so to speak. Besides its shape or whatever you want to call it.
True. Yeah. Well, yeah. If there isn't, I guess to flesh out the question more, it doesn't necessarily have to be something you don't like, but like what you think could improve in the format. Or another good thing that we kind of have written down here is like, is there any way the devs could get involved to make the format better?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
So
there's a lot to go into there.
setting up bases and flipping, we've gotten very, and by we, not me, but just the community in general, have gotten very good at prepping bases, getting things set up, getting some support from the devs so we have access to, rotating the warp gates, things like that, that have made it quicker. But I would still like to have more available resources for casters, as seeing everyone on the map or seeing through or taking a first person look, and that's probably won't happen, but it's
Or
nice when you
seeing
have that.
like the point of view of the player.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah,
so sick.
exactly. Like essentially what CS:GO does. I mean, they have that those tools, and it makes viewing more enjoyable, and it makes casting easier instead of trying to find stuff on the mini map. So that would be nice. I think, again, pulling a Sunday and then rotating Sundays and then flipping the point, and then, oh, you flipped a little bit too far, and oh, you guys haven't flipped, it's been 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I think those little things are just a nuisance, and like they really actually are annoying for me. Um, because sometimes it just takes too long. But for the most part, it's pretty good. The community has done so much. Shout out to Turtle for the new script. Shout out to Gelos for all of his hard work casting and just just being a community facilitator. And then shout out to everyone else on PIL and the other leagues in general.
Especially the
But,
PIL staff. Shout out the PIL staff for.
I
There's
should
a
not-
lot of stuff that they have to do to get it all set
dealing
up.
with Saiyan, bro. Saiyan's a legend, but he's tough, man, when he's in your chat or something, or into your Discord.
You don't want to look at chat right now, bro. It's kind of they're so rude. But no, I think another big thing that would be super helpful as well is like it's the thing that we like the most from the game, right? In the sense of like
chat's kind of like
no, I'm not talking about
the
chat, but
outfits that don't get involved with the tournament, or they're on the backup roster, like the hood 36-man roster that they got the ring, but they were on the deep bench. And
Waterboy.
We won't name any of those people. We'll spare them. But that's how chat roll though, and that's what's cool about chat though.
Yeah,
there's full protection. We
Shout
can't
out
touch
chat.
you. Besides banning you, we can't do that because the viewership is so low.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Dang. And then they can just make a new account. Like it doesn't even, they can just make a new account. So I think, but to go back to like the way like the devs could at least get involved to at least give us more opportunities to play is, you can't just hop into a 6v6. Like I can't just like solo queue up for like a 6v6, get matched with some people that have like, I don't know, that it doesn't even have to be similar skill. It could just be people that want to play in the 6v6 format at this point, and then just like get thrown into an instance of like Gone in Southern or something like that. The spawns are set.
That's a very good point. You can't just like League of Legends, just make a new name, log in. Oh, I'm still garbage. Let me just, no one knows me. I'm gonna hop out and disappear.
Yeah. So
you gotta commit, dude. You gotta commit, dude.
Yeah, and it's just like it's one of those things where like there aren't as many opportunities in the game to play because there have been many times I think where it's like, ooh, can we go play at this base? But it's like, oh no, these two outfits already have it reserved because they're playing like a scrimmage, and it's like, if only there was like a dev team that would like, instead of put all of their time into like something like Outfit Wars, which I guess has its pros and cons. It's like a monthly event that it's not you can't just play instances of Outfit.
We'll discuss Outfit Wars. That'll be a great topic.
Yeah, that'll be a fun topic to kind of go into. But I think for right now, it's like it would be cool if they did that, but for a 6v6.
Well, like think about a normal MMO. It's like you have your guild base, and it's like you can have like a little practice area or something. It's like, okay, let's just pull up Gone in South, right? Let's just pull up Gone in South, and we get our own Gone in South that we can just practice at.
Yeah,
and that's like permanent spawns on it, and you can, what I mean, like that would be, and that would take so much extra work. Like that's not gonna happen. Like I get it, but that would be be great.
And I think that also comes with servers, like a lot more. Like obviously there's smaller servers, but you'd need high performance servers. You'd need like a 64 tick minimum server, kind of like CS:GO does with like ESEA or FPL or something like that, where you need it to be a really good server in order to like have those moments of like, oh, I was fully around that corner but I got killed, like those moments to at least not disappear necessarily, but to be reduced by like a large amount. And like obviously there's like the distance issue of like if I live in the US and somebody else lives in Australia or something, there's gonna be that ping issue. But at least for people who are closer.
Ooh, yeah. I don't like that. I forgot about that. That's probably the worst part of the game is like playing against teams with like the Australian teams, man.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm glad that they're here. So it's something that we can't avoid. So it is what it is, and they have to play. They have to play their own way as well. Like it goes both ways. So sorry, continue.
Yeah, well, I think just like being, if the devs were able to figure it out, being able to figure out how to set up instances of it. So rather than like spawning into, I don't know, TI hours or something when I log in at like 7 p.m. and I don't really see like a good fight, I could go to the warp gate, and instead of going to the sanctuary, I queue up for like TDM. And it just loads up an instance of like Xenotech, because all these bases are already there. It's just a matter of like I get matched with other people. We get 2 6v6 teams, a V8, whatever the devs want at this point. Literally just whatever. And we just start up a match. And it's the same format where it's 15 minutes. We have 2 Sundays. They automatically get put there. Same timers, same everything. But now it's enforced by the devs in the sense of like, you know, when you leave the map it says like come back, you have 10 seconds. Like now we can enforce that with like a physical, you cannot leave the map or you will die in 10 seconds. So that's something that would be really cool. Obviously this is wishful thinking and wanting to see something like that. But I think if the devs kind of did something like that and they started to embrace like this side of the community too, there would probably be a lot more growth in the game, because like even for the scrimmages that like Gallos and I have all been co-casting and stuff like that, there's been a lot of viewership just to see like this format. And if it was to get pushed out more and to get more people involved when it comes to promoting it, getting it into the game and stuff.
And like, I feel like once the devs are behind it, the greater community can get behind it too.
Dude, and viewership would be so easy. So I don't know. I think that would be cool. Obviously I don't expect anything to come from that, but if it were to happen, that would be honestly pretty cool. It would be way easier to also just kind of get practice for the things that you actually have to work on in a 6v6, because going from practicing like 2 to 3 times a week, depending on like, oh, am I gonna go to pickups, internals, or does my team have a scrimmage? Now it's like I'm logging in tonight to play for like my hour, my 2 hours, or my 3 hours. I'm just gonna play like TDM for the whole night and just like do 6v6s back to back until like I'm either tilted or I'm satisfied. So like it's like one of those things that would be pretty cool. Anything else you want to talk about that, or you kind of
Good
want
on
to?
that, man.
Well,
I'm squared up on it, if you know what I'm
I'm
saying.
squared up on it, bro. Honestly, with some of the stuff chat's saying, I'm ready to square up with them. But anyways,
We're talking what 110 pounds, 120 pounds max. Most of these guys. I mean,
yeah.
that's why you don't see them with their. We don't know what they look like. And I
Dude.
get it. I get it.
So we kind of touched on it a bit when we were talking just like about the different bases, but do you have a base that's like your favorite base to play on at the moment when it comes to 6v6? And you know, don't leak any strats. Don't leak any strats.
Oh, that's
But
ironic.
yeah, because you don't. So hey, you know, we gotta cast these scrimmages, bro. Like you playing your shooting and you're practicing your aim. We're practicing our
pressure,
casting,
man.
bro.
Not getting the kill in the second half. But
Oof.
favorite bases, man. So let's just go over them. I mean, how many bases first are there? Do we even know? I mean, we know, but like off the top of our head.
Does anybody chat? Y'all know how many bases there are total? Dirtle says 6. I don't know if that's is that
makes
correct?
sense. I was
Oh
gonna.
yeah,
I-
it's
that's what I
6.
was
Yeah, it's
thinking.
6.
I didn't want to miss one. Let me know if chat says something about me taking off my hat, bro, because I'm right. We'll end it right here. We'll end it right here. So I mean, Stale Canyon, man, that's the original, right? That's
Stale
that's
Canyon.
that go-to. That's that tough guy mentality. Like, do you want to play here again? Well, don't worry about it, because you are. I like Stale Canyon. I don't think it's stale at all. I love the map. Because again, it goes back to that feel of like there's different lanes, and there's high traffic areas, there's low traffic areas, there's things that people aren't really expecting or are prepared for, and it just opens. The map is just a lot more open than, say, like Ganon South. You know, it's much more funneled to me. You still have your flanks on the outside, but Pale has so many different things. And when we actually like sat down at the base and we tried like some really wonky like tactics, it was really interesting. Like some of the things that you found, we found some crazy jumps from, well, who cares, but did the same thing on Ghana. But when you actually sit down and like look at the maps like in depth, like, and learn new jumps, is very interesting. But I think Pale is probably one of my favorite, if not my all-time favorite, just because that's where things started. Not a fan of Ganon. I don't like Aiken. I mean, Sane just bullies anyone there, and anytime we have a scrim on Aiken, it's
Those
Sane's
Saiyan flanks on Aiken are dirty, dude.
and I think and I could be wrong, but Aiken has that depth that Pale has. You know, it's a 4 whatever buildings, and then you have the center, and it doesn't feel like that. But once you learn the map, it has so many like jump spots and like different flanks and drop downs from the balconies that makes it incredible. Yeah, I think we need to spend more time there if we were going to play it, but I don't like that map because we haven't. And usually it fosters 2 light assaults. And if you don't have 2 light assaults, it's troubling. And I mean, different teams come up with different strategies to account for that. But so Pale, I love Paris, but Paris is even worse sometimes than Ganon in regards to the lanes. It's L building, bang it all day, and if you don't have access to the L building and they got full control of it, it is a meat grinder, and it will break your team in half every time. What does that leave us with? That's what, 4 right there.
Yeah, so we have
Oh,
Aiken,
Xenotech,
Ganon. Yeah, Chak and Xeno are the last ones.
Xenotech is another map. It's like newer. I don't think we just haven't put enough time into that map, and we just it has a lot more to it, like Pale or Aiken. That I think if you learn it, you can be a really strong team on it. And if you don't, it turns into like just a slaughter because people are coming from all over the place on you. I like Chak. That's actually that's probably actually Chak is probably my favorite, and then Pale actually after that. Chak is just I don't know what it is. It's just the most fun. It's glorious, and it doesn't even have as many avenues of pathing or whatever you want to call it. I can't think, but I don't know something about Chak. So Chak and Paris or and Pale, those three. So 50% of the fucking maps.
That's good. I mean, again, I think that's really good in the sense of if you think about again like a game like CS:GO, like I think probably the quintessential competitive FPS game. Like there aren't that many maps. There's like a map rotation, and I think having a map rotation where you have like really well balanced maps, and then maps that people enjoy and then maps that people don't. It's good in the sense of like it gives you the opportunity to have that like that pick ban pick sort of thing, like if you're playing like a best of 3 or something against a team. And the number I think is perfect because it gives you the opportunity to kind of like let's say like you get first ban and you're like I hate playing on Ganon, then my team bans Ganon, then their team let's say bans Paris, that leaves Aiken, Xeno, Pale, and Chalk. Then we're gonna be like, all right, we're playing on Pale. They choose Xeno, and then we get the last ban, and then essentially the last choice. Like,
There's a little bit of depth in it, which is
yeah,
interesting.
it gives you that depth, and it's like again, it's one of those like, what are they gonna ban? What are we gonna ban? What are we gonna choose? What are they gonna choose? And it's almost like chess, where you're like, we're gonna focus on these maps because we expect these bans. It's stuff like that. So
We actually got baited. Well, maybe they weren't aware, but we thought, I think when we played Hood, they were gonna the way the ban layout or whatever we had in our mind, like they're not gonna pick this map, they're gonna ban this, and I think we got stuck. It was either Ganon or it was Aiken or something. Like we got them, they got the map that like they're like dominant on, and we absolutely I think got torched by it, and like our whole strategy fell apart. I think we looked too deep into it, and that's like sometimes I think, oh man, it's only 6 maps. That seems like that's planet side, like well, that's what we're stuck with. But you do look at like CS:GO and like the or StarCraft too. Like the map pool is not like it's not like there's 50 maps you pick from. It is a smaller pool, and so that makes me feel better about where we are with planet side. And then you look at things like sometimes you're like, man, dude, there's a power side right on the map like that. Like I wish the maps could be like these perfect like cutouts. But then you think about like CS:GO, like there's like I don't even know. I don't know enough about CS:GO, but like I feel like there's a stronger side or an easier.
yeah, there are like T-sided and CT-sided maps. I think
it's
CS:GO has 8 active maps in their pool, which gives you the opportunity to do like 2 teams ban, then 2 teams pick, then 2 teams ban again, then leaves 3 maps, and then it's essentially like what did the last teams ban at the end to have the final map be what. So I do think like having 2 more maps like in that map pool for
They're
Pillar
working on it, man. That's
yeah.
Community has figured out where the spawns go, like how like and tweaking that. Like shout out to Gels again. We tested like on Saturday nights or whatever. Sometimes that stuff's not easy to figure out. I'm sure some people find it enjoyable, but other people probably not. And it's just more time that people have to invest. So shout out to them looking for new maps to get that pool up. So absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think for me personally, again, I haven't played that much. I've played on all the maps so far, but I think my personal favorite map is Chalk. Chalk Fusion is just like there's so much stuff to do. And there's so many ways, like whether it's counterplay or it's holding the point, like you have so many places you can play, and like pushing in together when it comes to like your team and figuring out like oh, I gotta get a pick here, Bolter got to pick at dubs, all right, we're going in, like execute stuff like that. Like it's just a well-made map, especially for the spawns that are there and for the size of the gameplay of it being 6v6. But outside of that, like yeah, I've tried Pill Canyon. I'm not that big of a fan of it. I've only played it once though, so I'm not too sure. And like when I played it that one time, like you were on the opposite team, just doing these flanks all the time, murdering my team, bro. Just like again, like he was like so like it just hard to catch, honestly. So yeah, I think Chalk's my favorite. I like Ganon. Ganon's like if you took Chalk and you just made it even thinner in the sense of like now we're only gonna play inside the building. You can go like swamp or you can go down bridge, but like you're really exposed if you do that.
Right.
But when it comes to as a watcher, I think Paris is so much fun to watch.
It's a meat grinder, bro.
Yeah.
It's literally the school bully, man. That's what Paris.
Yeah, and like you can get like a really dominant team and just have like a really high frag sort of environment. Or you could have like a passive team and then still kind of have that high frag environment due to the fact of it being so linear in the sense of like all the combat or majority of the combat goes on in that L shape, and it's like you took the Ganon building and you made it even smaller. So there's a lot of different stuff that like make Paris fun to watch. It's a lot easier to get in touch with the action, at least I think for a caster, of like you can kind of just fly in via balcony or fly in from the doorway. Yeah, and it's easier to predict. It's way easier to predict. Yeah. So and then the rest of the maps are, I'd say my least favorite one is Xenotech. That's the one we got dunked on last night against Ziz.
Toughy, man. It really is. It's cool though. It's big. It's a big map, honestly.
Yeah, a lot more options.
The biggest map. I'm curious.
I think it's either that, Aiken, or PIL. But yeah, I think Xenotech's probably the biggest one.
Aiken is big. I forgot about it. It feels small because the buildings are small, but I guess it's pretty big.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're getting close to the end of what we have written here.
Cool. I mean, we're over an hour, so that's good.
Yeah. So if you want to hop into Q&A, we have several questions. Some of them better than others. So we'll start with this one. This one I think is a meme, but honestly, it's pretty important. This one actually makes a good amount of sense.
That's the worst part, but this is the serious part, man.
Yeah. Hey, great stream. As a new player, my platoon leader keeps sending me to 80% overpop, and there's no one to shoot with my 30 FPS high graphics. What would you suggest Rel, I think they mean the devs, would do against AI bot platoon leaders?
Wait, do against? Like...
Yeah, to kind of like discourage that sort of play.
Dude, that's something that I feel like has been thought about for a long time. Then they've tried different things. It's a community thing, man. It's the people that you have, I feel like, that control the environment. And it's more about you just got to get out of that yourself and go somewhere else, because there's other outfits that will, give you a different type of play style. And a lot of people think this is war. Why would you go and not bring more men than the other team? Why would you not have airplanes and things? Have infantry? Why would you not keep them in their spawn room? This is war. True. This is what war is about. It's like, dude, okay, whatever, man. That makes you feel better. I don't know if that answers the fucking question or not, but
it was pretty close. I think overall, like, it's something that both the devs could, I guess, have some sort of impact on. But at the end of the game,
I got one more thing when you're done. Go ahead.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like with the way that the game is set up at the moment, like you just got to let people kind of figure out what their lane is. And a lot of times I think that's the reason why a lot of people don't end up staying in the game, because you're not giving them enough I guess like a single path. You're giving them this wide open just sandbox to kind of do whatever you want, to the point where people get overwhelmed. I think I've talked about this before, like in TeamSpeak. There's this TED talk about like this grocery stores, where some grocery stores have seen that they're more successful when they only give you one option when it comes to, like, let's say you're going in and you want to get
some
like
massive store of toilet paper. That's all they have there.
Yeah, or it's like, yeah, you go and you get like you want to get toilet paper, right? You go there and there's 20 different brands that all sell like 3 different styles of different plies and stuff, and then at the end of the day you're just like, and apparently a lot of people get this sort of thing where they just, I don't want to buy anything, and they just leave. But then some grocery stores have seen, like, they just make their own in-house brand and they offer one version of it, and then people buy it. They have higher sales.
Just literally what I do with monitors or like cars. It's like, dude, and then let's not go down that path. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, if that's a real question, or if anyone's ever wondering that, you cannot have 3 factions. Sure. Because at the end of the day, you can't push equal. I mean, I guess you could, but the chance of that happening is so slim. If you have 2 factions, you have 100 players on one side and you have 105 players on the other side. For the most part, it's going to be pretty even, and you can respond a little more accordingly. But there's a bunch of fights going on between VS and TR, and I'm on NC. Okay, I'm attacking this base and this base and this base, but there's no response because they're tied up top with good fights, right? Like, you can't have it in a 3-way. 3-ways never work out, man. They sound good in many ways, but they're not always.
So hopefully that answered your question. Not a lot that they can do. Turn your graphics down and try and find good people to play with.
2
Yeah,
factions.
PlanetSide 3, 2 factions, or maybe 12. Maybe it's a battle royale. Shout out PlanetSide Arena. Next question. This one's for Aeflic. What things do you try to do to keep in mind, or what things do you try to keep in mind, excuse me, to stay positive about the game while playing and streaming? A lot of good players are upset by similar things, and after playing for a while, I feel they have valid complaints about genuinely tilting dynamics, but you maintain a pretty healthy mindset
Jesus Christ, dude.
while playing well and streaming. My response to that is, I don't know what you're talking about, him not tilting.
Like, I don't know. Okay, one, yeah, I think I do tilt a little bit, but for the most part, I think I've just accepted it, man. You have to at some point just accept it. And I feel like Leroy, Zyros, there's a good list of people. No, get me wrong, we all tilt, but a lot of people accept it, and it's just, it is what it is. It's not that bad. Okay, like I get bolted. Like I feel like I know how to deal with a lot of things. Like A to G. It's like, okay, I can stay on the spawn room, I can go to a different fighter, I can like go from building to building, and I can like try to avoid that. And like, yeah, you still get picked up sometimes by that. Or you get picked up by the bolt, or like Shelm's there bolting you, right? And then once you know that he's there, like you know how to play the situation. You know that you have to jump a half a second early, you have to crouch a half a second early, right? To take him on. I think it's just about breaking each of those situations down, to where they're just, when you add them all up, it's really bad, but usually it's just one of those things or two of those things at a fight, right? You have to overpop, and you just play it differently. Each scenario is just different. And I started streaming because I realized after playing in 6v6, I know what my skill level is in the game. You know, that's why the meme of like, top 5 Eurodome heavy, you know, came from. Like, I know how good I am, or in some ways how bad I am, and how live takes away from that. It doesn't showcase you very well. I'm super aggressive on live. Like I can go from 2, 3, 4 KD, and I kind of float around that just because I like playing aggressive and I like being on like fighting 4 other players versus me, just so I put myself in tough situations. And I think I've accepted that, and it doesn't bother me anymore because I know what I am in a good environment. And so like on live, it's just more about interacting with the community and like getting people excited about the game. Nobody is going to be excited about the game when I think it sucks, or I'm not having a good time. And that's the other thing. When you're streaming and you're not having a good time, chat's not having a good time.
Yeah, no one's having a good time.
Yeah, so it goes kind of hand in hand with streaming, I think, and where I'm at.
Yeah, realizing that there's a lot of variables involved in the game that you cannot control, and then also knowing like where you are skill level wise because of like the 6v6 format definitely does help. But yeah, it's definitely a mindset sort of thing. You really can't go into the game being like, oh, this is what's gonna happen, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna get mad, because you're gonna be sorely disappointed. It's such a volatile game. It's never consistent.
And my tilting has changed into more of like, I'll just shit talk that person, and like and if you ever get shit talked by me, just know like for the most part, like it's not like I'm just tilting a little bit, and like I don't have anything against you. Yeah, I know I talk shit about B-Way sometimes when they got, you know, the resonates going out, or, you know, Rezel was in a tank the other day in the lightning and killed me. He actually got out of it and then murdered me, and I you know, had some choice words for him. But I like Rezel. I like B-Way. Like, it's just that's my form of tilting, is just shit talk. I think it's healthy too, as long as it's you know, if you were to come to me like, hey, like you said some fucked up shit, and it's like, oh, my bad, dude, I'm sorry, you know. Anyway, next. Is that it? 2 questions?
No, we have 30 responses, but sifting through them is difficult at times. There's a lot of different ones that are, I don't know.
Give us a hard one, bro. Give us a tough one. Give us one of those disrespect. No, you know what? Skip those disrespectful ones. Continue.
I think this one's pretty good. I don't know. It's weird in the sense that the question is like a person, but it's who do you model your gameplay after? And I would almost say, what do you model your gameplay? Like, there's a lot of different things, I guess, to go off to this, but I'd say for me personally, like, I remember my style of aim was heavily influenced by like a streamer like Shroud would, where it's like it's very flicky and stuff like that. But when it comes to PlanetSide, I think who I personally like, I watch the most when it comes to like learning how to play better, would probably be Greg. Graka is dead. Because of his positioning. Because I think aim is one thing.
Greg,
yeah, shout out Greg. Shout out big backs Greg.
He's like 7 feet tall. That's how I picture him every time. Go on.
The motorcycle in the background. So yeah, like he has really good positioning. And he also has the aim. And he's able to like long bars. He's able to get those like high KPM sessions while not sacrificing his KD. And you're able to see like those 4-4 or those 5-5 like sessions, and like I don't do that consistently, but watching it gives me at least some sort of exposure as to like how is he doing this. It's not completely confusing. But I don't know if you've been playing literally since beta.
Hello?
Yeah.
Does it give you hope?
Well, no, I don't know about hope. I'm never
Like
gonna.
the rebellion against the Empire in Star Wars. Are you familiar?
I don't know if it gives me hope necessarily, but at least it gives me the sense of like figuring out what it is I'm not doing correctly by comparing like a VOD of me playing with a VOD of him. It's
Makes
like
sense.
for him it's steady aim and really good positioning. For me it's really dumb decisions and like not doing well when it comes to aiming, I guess. But I don't know if that's really relevant to you necessarily. Maybe you can talk about previously like what made you change. Maybe there was a player that kind of showed you, because again, like you said in the beginning, you didn't start out like a 6v6 like top
Man,
5
it's
Euro
been
dome
so
heavy.
long. It's like actually kind of hard to think about. When I was more like in my VCO days and like I wanted to make a VCO better, and this probably no one even cares, but this is cringy. Oh man, and we got into it. This is drama, but you guys won't probably even know about it or remember. But CML Desire, yes, they are still recruiting. I learned a lot from him. He took me through his trainings, and I copied a lot of things from that to help the guys in VCO, and then even in backs. And then I got accused of stealing his Galaxy documents or something like that. It was like the dumbest thing in my life. And then like I was like, dude, you're a grown man. What the fuck are you like? Is this a joke? Like, but that's besides the point. CMO Desire was from a different age in the game, and CMO was great back then. They were good, and I learned a lot from him. And then I'm trying to think of my transition into like infantry, man. I feel like there's a lot of people that just don't play the game. I think ACDA probably is just the go-to, at least on Emerald or Matherson at that time, and just seeing like good people holding like the balcony on the tech plant and like just being farmed by those players is like, man, that's tough. I want to be better. I want to challenge that, right? Helix 3 is it Helix 360, man, or 320? It's gotta be 360 or 320. He's VCO. I remember he's like, hey man, I'm about to go to like AC.
Oh yeah, it was Helix 320.
320. I was like, he's like, I'm about to go to AC, and I was like, damn man, like. And he like that's when we were both going for 100,000 anchor kills. Like, him and I were buds, and we were just farm fights and whatnot. And I think once he said that, I was like, damn, bro, like I need to step my fucking shit up. I'm not gonna lose like my favorite guy in the game. And I think I started watching maybe like a couple of YouTube videos because I don't even think Twitch was out by that time. A couple of YouTube videos and then like learn about frames per second and all that. But there's so many like great streamers, man, that like I learned from just by watching. Like Graka is definitely one of them. Zyros is one of them. Even for especially in its prime, there's just little things that you can learn from people. Who else is out there that streams? It's like that's
Leroy.
a good player.
Leroy is I think
Leroy,
probably one
yeah.
of the best too.
Yes, he was a legend.
And then a lot of like the European players, like I watch James, I watch Ryan. They're good streamers as well. And
James, OBTV, bro.
Huge,
Let us know who you
bro.
are, bro. Man,
Huge,
I
bro.
didn't know that until that's crazy. But
Shout out James.
honestly, saying really, that's actually because I remember before we backed out of the first 6v6, Helix and I went to an AC like scrim type thing, and we did actually decent. And we're like, okay, we can do this. And then Zarek was like, I got school, and then somebody else was like, I can't do it. And then we had like 4 people that wanted to do it, and so we don't have enough people for a roster. But I remember like saying, man, like, and I put him probably number 1 all time planet side player. That like
Bro,
like,
he can hear that, right?
Yeah, man. The state with the game. That state with the game is still relevant. Yeah, he memes all the time, but he's not just that straight up like aim player. That like, is he hacking? It's just like just doing stupid shit, and like you're dying to it, and you're like, fuck, man. And then you do that shit, and it's like your cone of fire is like this, dude. So shout out to Sane, man. Undisputed, probably number 1. For the longevity of the game for sure. But yeah, sorry, that's a long question. Sorry. Next question. If there's any more decent ones.
No, there's a couple good ones. I think we'll do like 3 or 4 more and then we'll wrap it up.
Wrap.
So this is a good question, I think, to kind of relate or to bounce off of kind of what you were talking about. Talk about your relationship with AC back in the day.
No, we just kind of hit on that. Who's that question by?
I don't know. I don't have the names on, and even if I did have the names on, they would just lie who asked.
Man, dude, like it's crazy because at first, like, there's so much. AC's just loves to shit on people, man. Let's just be honest. They don't really play the game anymore, and they have, everyone has that elitist, especially when like you're in a Zerg or whatever. You have that like elitist. You feel like they're elitist and they're like shitting on you. But then when you start meeting like the players, Cheese Roller, even Lex, man. I mean, like these are just human people that, for the most part, everyone has a different opinion, but they're actually good people. And I think you forget about that in the game, and this shit talking gets, some people think it goes too far or whatnot, or it gets personal or whatever. But back in the day, I think it was the backing out of of that tournament, man. And it was funny because I remember Vizzy messaged me and was like, sent me a tell in on live and was like, "Oh, you're being a little bitch, whatever. You're backing out from the tournament, man." And I was fucking pissed, bro, because we wanted to play in it. I remember we went and we dunked on a couple of his boys. We did all right. Like we didn't like get farmed or anything, because we were like kind of testing the waters. Like, are we good enough to be in the tournament? And again, we didn't we did well, but the rest of our team kind of fell apart, and Helix can't play in a 6v6 by ourselves, so that sucks. That's kind of honestly been like a reason that we've always kind of participated, I think, since then, is because I don't want to have that question pop, or that like that meme essentially, because the memes weren't even a thing back then, but essentially it was a meme. But yeah, I mean, I think the relationship is in a decent spot. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I have respect for Lex in a way. I like Cheese Roller. There's plenty of other AC people that I could convert. Like, there's a long list of good people from there. So
Yeah, I remember for me, at least back in the day, like I just thought they were low key. I thought like they were just all like horrible people because like I never talked to them.
Hacking, that's right. Because as a bad player, you're like, they're hacking.
Oh yeah, I don't think I never really thought they were hacking. Maybe like
I'm saying, like, that's kind of the general, like, you see that like in the threads,
yeah, I think maybe when I just started out and I didn't know anybody in the community and I was just getting like insta killed probably, like I was like, how the fuck did this guy just do that? But when I started getting involved in the community of being like, on the subreddit and like, joining an outfit and stuff like that, like I think after that, like I didn't necessarily know who they were as people. And you just hear like rumors about like what kind of people they are and stuff like that. I think I just assumed that they were like bad people or some shit like that. But yeah, going forward, like when I started to like get to know all the people, especially coming back like, in 2020, like I don't like I never really I can't really think about like why I would not like them. Maybe it's just because like it's just the always cheesing. It's that mentality of like we're better and we're just gonna fucking rub it in your face and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the relationship has definitely changed when you compare like what how especially backs thought of like AC back in 2014, 2015, and then what it is now. So I think we'll do two more here. This one's not really a question, but that's just a comment, I guess. It's like, by doing more pickups and streaming them, this would provide more exposure to the 6v6 format and draw more people in. I'm gonna ask that as a question to you of like, do you agree or disagree with that?
Dude, like I literally was like talking to Drew, and I can't remember if I talked to Rail about this or I just talked about it on my streams a long time ago. I'm like, Twitch is just free publicity. Media, whatever you want to call it. Like, the fact that you don't have like a primary person or a group of people that you promote or help out, which I get, maybe there's some legal or like money, I don't know, whatever it is, or the fact that you don't have a dev that does it, like, and again, maybe there's a reason like you can't do that, I don't know, but like it's just sitting there. When the devs stream, they get 1,000+ viewers, right, or 900 or whatever it is. That's good, right? That is good. We need more of that. Whether it's just talking about the game and like, hey, we're working on these issues and it's a short stream. I don't think that's a bad thing to do, and I think it gets more viewership because no one's looking at it. No one's going to scroll down 8 pages to Planet Side and then randomly click on it.
Yeah.
If it's in like, you have 1,000, 1,200 viewers.
Yeah, and sometimes more than 8 pages, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It comes way up to the top, like, so I think it really is the devs need to figure something out. And again, maybe that's a business thing that I don't know about because I'm whatever. But I mean, how many good players can stream the game? How many tournaments can be streamed? Like, we're at our max. There's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, and like as streamers ourselves, like we're honestly just sharing viewership. Like, At
Oh
the
yeah.
end of the day, like if everyone, if Leroy, Zyros, you, me, Gelos, everyone's streaming, then we're not gonna see like 500 viewers watching PlanetSide total. Like it's still gonna be the same 100x people. It's just that they're all gonna be split onto the different streams now, rather than all just being in the same location.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. Like those dev streams that happen every month end up having like 2,000 viewers. Like leveraging that ability to market towards that amount of people and get it involved in a more weekly basis, daily basis, like making it more consistent so that you can get people to, be aware of the game and to get it pushed up higher to the top. Like will only do well for the game. And I think like when Lyric played like earlier, was it this week or last week? I don't even remember. All
Yes,
the
this
weeks are
week.
kind of, yeah, they're all kind of mushing together. But when he played, like PlanetSide was like the number 3 or 4 game or something. Or not number 4, but like it was on the first page of Twitch at least.
And
So
hype creates hype. Like no, like when you watch like Summit 1G or something like that, like okay, you don't whatever, but like okay, 40,000, 30,000, 20,000 viewers, and then it's like you look at PlanetSide real quick because you play the game maybe like an AOD or something like that, right? And you're like, okay, I see 57 people. Like there's no one to watch.
yeah,
That's what you're thinking. There's nothing there.
yeah, and it just
Even though
looks
you
like a
might
dead
have
game.
some talent there from like Leroy or whoever, yeah, it just looks like a dead game. It's like okay, well Twitch isn't really being used. Like it just seems like a joke, but obviously there's people here like trying, and some people make the meme or the statement that there's just no one worth watching. But I think like we just need that exposure, and that hype, and I think the devs have to because they do. I mean, in their own light. So
Yeah, definitely. And I think something else, it's like there's definitely an entry barrier, I think, for somebody like tuning into a stream like ours or again like Leroy's, Zyros's, because we run the graphics on low settings. We play a little bit different because again, to kind of throw back to like what we were talking about earlier, the way we came in, or the reason we came in, the way we played when we came in, very very different from how we play now, and the reason why we're staying. A lot of the kids that like watch these games are like, how good are the graphics? How cool are these fights? Like, why? I think the biggest complaint that I get, especially from like my IRL friends who will like tune into my stream, and the reason why they don't necessarily watch is because of the graphics. And I get that.
yeah, graphics are huge.
Yeah, so and I get that, and I think that's why you need your normie streamers, because like CS:GO is
Yeah.
a great example of like, like when they're doing like the casting and the pro matches and stuff like that, graphics are set to ultra, observer cam, like
StarCraft
everything's
2,
super
same.
ultra. Yeah, but the people playing low graphics, weird resolutions, like crazy like digital, what's it called, ambience or whatever from their Nvidia control panels, like so that they can see people really clearly. So yeah, I think to kind of summarize that, like we definitely need the devs to get involved, and then once that kind of increases the hype of it, then more people play. Then
Well,
what's up?
just want to touch. Go ahead. Sorry, you can finish your point. Sorry.
Oh yeah, and I was just gonna say, then you get stuff like the Colossus update, where the video on the YouTube channel is 100,000 views. I saw it earlier, where it's like you have like these avenues of people like interested in the game, but then there's just not enough things to keep them actively engaged. So when you're doing these things on a monthly basis, the hype is there for 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week, 2 weeks, like for the Bastion update. But then afterwards, it just dies down again. So, but yeah, go
just
ahead.
on Twitch streaming and like viewership and things like that, you got to remember like there's so many different play styles. Like if I'm not flying a Reaver, I'm not going to catch any of the pilots, and that's a small community. If I'm not leading a platoon and I'm in command, that's another large part of the community. Like we have our infantry niche, but then like there's too many other things. It's not very focused. And the other thing is you can be great at the game. Like I was watching Graka earlier, and it's like you just get killed by shit, man. That has nothing to do with like, what I
Yeah.
mean? Like overstrike, boom, you're dead. And it's like, okay, you're 80-20 overpopped, and like boom, you're dead to like you come out of the spawn. Like people watch it like, oh, he's probably not a good player. Like okay, no, and then they move on. So it makes it very difficult to showcase your skills sometime. I mean, obviously you can go on a kill streak, but like in League of Legends, if you're a good player, you don't die all the time for the most part. Or like, I don't know other games, but like Tarkov, like it's one like pretty much just one shot kill, or like a couple shots you're dead. Like and the good streamers are just grabbing up kills and like surviving and things like that. Like you're not just dying in the game over and over. No one's gonna watch that.
Yeah.
I think PlanetSide doesn't curtail to that. Last
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, last question. It's how do you determine if someone is a good player or not? And then the second part of the question is what stats, if any, do you look at? But I'm gonna just kind of throw that at you of like even without the stats, like is stats the only thing that we're necessarily looking at, or are we also kind of doing like other things that we're looking at as
Yeah.
well?
So real quick, the quickest way to know real quick is PS2 Physio. Go to player, type in the player, go to stats, go down to the bottom left, go to KPM, sort by month. If there's no stats there, or it's like 1 month. Okay, we don't have enough information. KPM is the quickest way to know. It's kills per minute. You have to be decent at the game, okay, to get KPM high, of a 2 or 3 or a 4 or something like that. Even a 1 KPM is outside of like the norm. So that's just the quickest way to know. But really, you gotta look at everything, because what are you doing on your KPM? Are you just picking your fights? Are you just logging out because there's a 3-way defense at West Pass Watchtower, and you're just circling stuff like that? So you gotta look at HSR. You gotta look at I think accuracy is honestly probably the number 2. We look at all the stats to really know if someone's good. And honestly, the best way to know if someone's good is for them to be in the 6v6, man.
Yeah. And I would say something that kind of builds off of that is because I kind of push now my definition of a good player is past their stats now. Because it's almost like, I don't know, it's like a J curve or like one of those not exponential curves, but like maybe if you flip the exponential curve upside down where there's really, really bad players, but then there are really, really good players, but there isn't a lot or enough to differentiate them enough for someone to just always dog the other person. Like, even though Leroy and like Ryan are better players than me, like I was still able to kill them last night, right? But I think what probably makes a player a good player in my eyes now is not necessarily how they play, but how they play with other people. Like having really good comms and being able to like, I don't know, it's almost like we've played pickups and scrims with like people who are like really good teammates that make good call outs, that keep like the comms clear, and then they're also just like a pleasure to play with. But then there's also the other side of it of like they're the best player ever, I guess, but they're just super toxic. I don't know, they're just kind of assholes. In my opinion, like a good player is both a pleasure to play with and also like a good performer. And
well-rounded. That's a good point.
yeah, just like because there's more to it than obviously just the stats of like KPM, KD, accuracy, and whether it's on live where it's like, I don't know, you're playing on live servers and you're just hanging out with someone and they're playing with you. If they're always complaining about the fights, then it kind of gets to you, and then you start to complain about the fights, and then you're not having fun. But when you're just kind of memeing, having a good time, and you're fragging, like you're having it's I think that's what kind of like makes somebody a good player in my eyes now.
I'm curious if you're basing that on live or in a tournament or both. But
definitely
both. Map awareness, reading the map, that's something that you learn really quick. Yeah, like you said, teamwork, chemistry is so big that that's something that you almost can't change. It's just is you either have chemistry or you don't, right? It's like a relationship. And then just knowledge of like the actual map that you're on live or in the tournament. That's huge. I mean, like we talked about before, saying on Aiken. I mean, Richard can come out of retirement, go to Aiken, play with Sand, have the chemistry, know the map, and still dominate and play well, even though his planet side skills are a little rusty, right? There's other things that take over that make him a better player.
Yeah.
That he doesn't have to rely on that. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I rely too much on, my aim or something like that, and I lose out on other things. And that's why it's so big to have a team of players that have played before, because there's less like unknown. It's like if Aeflic's down and he's not calling the shots, or Kawhi's dead and he's not calling the shots, no one is. Right? It's instead like, okay, I know what to do in this situation. I know what to do this situation. I know what to do here. If I'm by myself, I'm going to do this. Like that's what makes a good player, is that knowledge.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think to kind of summarize that question, not only do they need good stats, they have to have, map awareness, being knowledgeable of the game and making good decision makings, having good positioning, and then obviously just being a good team player, contributing to that chemistry. Because although you can't gauge that, that's not a statistic. If you're a pleasure to play with, then other people who play with you will just naturally do better because they're not hating the fact that they're playing with you.
That's so true.
Yeah. But other than that, not gonna really go through any of these other questions. They're kind of cringe. So I guess we'll just wrap it up. I'm gonna spam some links if you want to do some self promo about some stuff that you got coming up outside of the podcast. I hear there's a YouTube channel that you got going on.
I have one video on that bad boy. That's it. Shout out to Anchors, man. I know you're being super humble and you're like, I don't want to be in the video as of yet, but great editing, man. It's a pleasure working with you, and it's the reason I don't edit. I don't have the time for it. I just can't have too much going on with the family. So shout out to you for taking the time to do that. And I think you're pretty good at it. So yeah, we have a YouTube that we're starting. That's why we're supplementing the podcast with like highlights. Like there's only so much frags, montages, or whatever you can do, or funny moments in PlanetSide. So we want to do the podcast to like supplement and have two diverse things for the YouTube. Okay. And then obviously you have your Twitch, I have my Twitch, which I think we're on right now, Aeflic, Twitch, whatever, TTV. And then yeah, that's it. Plug yourself, whatever.
Yeah, our names are on the top. Obviously you can follow Aeflic because we're already here. My Twitch name is right there, Monka S. I never turned off my my notifications. But yeah, outside of that, appreciate you guys coming by. We're gonna wrap it up, and this is either gonna be weekly, bi-weekly, not too sure, but
I think we're gonna. The aim is to have like 2 podcasts a month and like 2 highlight videos. If that's too much, we're gonna, or too little, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, once again, appreciate you guys coming by. We'll see you guys at the next one, and goodbye.
Yo.
It's late.
Do that shit in real life. Fucking cocksuckers.